Hello and welcome back to Oulton Park. We've had lots of fun and games going on here already today. We've had one touring car race. It was won by Gordon Shedden, and the cars are going around at the moment to do 2 laps of acclimatisation because the conditions have changed somewhat since the earlier race today. Tim, we've had a fair bit of rain. In fact, it's just started dripping with rain once again, so it looks like we're in for a full wet race.
Yeah, just after the end of the last race, the heavens opened, and it's been wet ever since. So the touring car's lucky to have had one race in the dry, but this is certainly going to shake things up. But it's in the rules that they must have 2 laps of practice in the conditions that they're going to race in. So they're doing that now. They also have to run with their lights on, but they'll all get a feel for it. And some drivers will be very pleased about this, and others maybe not so.
Yeah, that's right. Of course, some of the new cars this year have barely been run in the wet. I know that Vauxhall, for example, have never run the Vectra with wet tyres on it. They've never done any wet testing.
And the Honda the same. And I said, have you got a wet setup? And they just sort of looked and sort of in the sky and said, well, we'll just sort of soften the dampers off, soften the roll bars, put the wet tyres on and send it.
Well, that's the way it has to be, isn't it? Of course, some of the teams that run cars that have been running in touring cars the last few years have got some experience. I think the last wet race we had was Knock Hill Race 1 last year. That was a fully wet race, and then it sort of dried up as we went through the rest of the day. So the Seats should, in theory, be in good shape. But actually, I spoke to Jason Plato, and they had an issue with the exhaust system on the car, and he wasn't at all sure that they were going to have time to fit the softer springs that they like to run in the wet. And I saw him only about sort of 15 minutes ago, and it was a bit marginal at that stage.
Yeah, the Seat's actually a very good car in the wet. It has very good traction. The aerodynamic issue is not quite so great. It's all about generating mechanical grip from the chassis. They all, of course, have the same Dunlop tyres, so no issues there. There are no intermediate tyres either. They only have a wet tyre and a dry tyre, so that's not a factor. So we know they'll all be on the same tyres, but how much work they can do on the setup, the teams like to try and stand the tyres up a little bit, take a bit of camber off to get a bigger footprint on the road as well. But it's basically about softening the car up to give the driver a bit more feel, and that's on shock absorbers and roll bars.
Yes, and I just heard, in fact, that they did just have time to change Jason Plato onto the softer spring, so he'll be happy about that. He's now had a chance to see what the track conditions are like out there. They've all done their 2 acclimatisation laps, and they'll be coming around onto the grid. I gather that Richard Marsh will not be starting this race, so that's a shame, but Motorbase Performance have once again done a pretty startling job to get Matt Allison's car repaired. They've had a lot of practice just recently, but Matt Allison will be starting the race.
Yeah, definitely a good job by them. Poor old Matt's had his fair share of accidents, and that was caused, the accident we saw, was caused by the fluid coming out of the radiator from Adam Jones's car that had come out at down at Knickerbrook as he'd gone across there, and unfortunately Matt was the first car to hit it at Druid to the fast corner, but they've repaired the car and he's on the grid. Okay,
well, the cars are just getting onto the grid. We'll be right back after the break here on Setanta Sports for the second touring car race of the day.
Hi there, welcome back. We've got the second touring car race on. A little bit of glamour on the grid here. We could talk some drivers, but instead I'm going to talk to Roxanne McKee all the way from Hollyoaks. I would love to come under your brolly.
You're so tall, I feel so teeny.
There you go, I'll sit down. Now, Roxanne, what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be in a sort of teen pregnancy soap opera storyline somewhere?
Yes, but that's only Monday through to Friday, so my weekends are spent at car races. Not every weekend, just this one. I used to go to Formula 1 with my dad when I was younger, so I quite like this. So I'm supporting RAC today. As you can see, I look like a big orange caterpillar.
That's a very flattering outfit. What do you make of the...
Very unflattering outfit.
I don't know. What do you make of the racing here today?
Yeah, it's great. I've actually never watched touring cars race before. I've only ever seen Formula 1, but they touch each other a lot more, so it's a bit more dangerous, but it's quite exciting.
You like men touching each other?
No, the cars touch each other. They bump each other.
Roxanne, it's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Nice.
Enjoy the day.
Okay, bye. Thank you.
Well, that made a change from some ugly drivers, didn't it? Now then, not that he's ugly. Matt Neal. Matt Neal, not a bad race in the first time, but we're looking at some hideous conditions now. The rain's not holding off for you this time.
Yeah, it's starting to come down a little bit heavier, so it's going to be tricky. The BMs are going to be real quick off the line. We've got Jackson somewhere behind me. I can't see him at the moment, and Colin alongside me, so it's going to be tough. But I think we've got a good car under us.
Well, your aim was to take as many points away from Plato and Giovanardi. Could be harder with Fabrizio, him being in front of you, but you're ahead of Jason already.
Yeah, it's good for us as a team, though, with Flash winning that one, and we've moved up in the teams championship on points. So just keep our head down, hope for a little bit of luck, and see what it brings us.
Good luck, Matt. Thank you. Well, I think the grid is clearing. We might get run over. We might just have time for one more quick chat. Man here, Matt Jackson, see if I can get his door open.
Don't open the door.
Matt, great result there in the first race. How are you feeling for this second one?
Sorry, mate, say that again.
There's a man who's got a lot on his mind. We'll leave you to it. Well, back up to the commentary team. See you later.
Thank you very much, Warren. Yeah, everyone getting a bit focused on what's ahead here. Let's take a look at what the grid looks like then. It is Gordon Shedden who'll be starting from pole position, but he now carries maximum ballast, courtesy of that win earlier. Fabrizio Giovanardi on the front row with him. Then it's Colin Turkington and Matt Neal. Matt Jackson, who we nearly heard from, starts 5th. Tom Chilton went well in that first race. He's up to 6th place, so he's looking to make more progress. He enjoys the wet. He's won in the wet here at Oulton in the past. Plato is 7th on the grid. Then Mike Jordan 8th, Tom Onslow-Cole 9th. Gareth Howell, one of the stars of the first race. He started from pit lane and ended in 10th. Jason Hughes and Simon Blankley are just behind. They're in 11th and 12th positions. Behind them we've got Martin Bell and Erkut, then John George and Fiona Leggett. Then we've got Rick Kerry and Jim Pocklington. He starts from 18th place. Then some of those who had problems earlier. Adam Jones, who we saw went off and then the car was overheating. Matt Allison, his car's been repaired. Chris Stockton starts 21st. David Pinkney's car's been repaired. So has Darren Turner's. But I think that Richard Marsh, unfortunately, will not be starting this race from his allotted grid position of 24th. So everybody else ready to run here, and Gordon Shedden, of course. It was an extremely hard-fought win in a way. He had to battle his way past Colin Turkington in those early laps, but after that, Tim, it was fairly comfortable for him.
Yeah, it was, and to be honest, it should have been. He was on 0 ballast. Obviously, he had Giovanardi behind him on 36 kilos, and he'll be with his championship ballast, which is in fact where he'll be starting again now, although he now leads the championship. But Shedden's now got to carry the weight. But in the wet, that's not such a disadvantage, as we've said before. I think it'll be a lot more even. Watch out for the BMWs off the line. Will they? We haven't seen them start in the wet over here yet, but will they get a dynamic start off the line? If they do, as you can see, they don't have to go very far forward to gain the lead.
No, there's a BMW there on the second row. That's Colin Turkington, and I know that the team is fairly hopeful that although they have this problem of getting the slicks up to temperature in the dry, in the wet they feel that these tyres could be really good on the BMW.
Yeah, they do. I mean, he said that it doesn't seem to be a problem in the wet to get the tyres working, which is interesting. So we'll watch him with interest. It isn't currently raining, and we've seen so far this weekend that when it has rained, the track has dried very quickly. So it does bring up the possibility, and we've heard Mike Jordan talking about it, that if, for example, there's a safety car period halfway through the race and the track is drying quite quickly, he might well come into the pits. And bearing in mind he has a BTCC spec car, he can change tyres very quickly, centre lock nuts on that. So he might put on some slicks on the front. So we'll see what happens.
So, well, you're talking about Mike Jordan there. Let's see if we can have a word with him. He's got the radio this weekend. This is Ben in the commentary box to Mike. Mike, can you tell us briefly, what are the conditions like out there? How wet is it for you?
It's pretty marginal, and if it didn't rain anymore, it would definitely want slicks on the front and wets on the rear, which we were umming and ahhing about doing that on the grid, actually, and going from the pit lane. I wouldn't have wanted to start mid-pack on slicks, but in the end there was just a little bit too much rain coming down. I ducked out of it. I'm still not sure that might actually be the right call.
So we might see some interesting tactics from you if there's a safety car or something like that.
If there's a safety car and it hasn't rained anymore, I think I'll definitely be in for fronts.
Okay,
obviously it's one of the advantages we've got with the centre lock wheels. We can do it a bit quicker than the Super 2000.
Great, thank you very much, Mike. We'll leave you to focus on the race, and we'll have a look at what's going on. Gordon Shedden, who's leading them round at the moment, of course, as you say, hardly any experience for Team Halfords driving in the wet conditions, on the wet tyres. The same situation for Vauxhall, so they'll be learning their cars. They're both on the front row, so we've got 2 new cars for 2007 on the front row of the grid here, and then same situation on the second row, except, of course, you know, BMW, the car's been raced a lot over the World Touring cars. There's a bank of knowledge to call on, so it's maybe a little easier for them.
It is. I'm not necessarily sure that West Surrey have got access to BMW Motorsport for their setups. They seem to have been having to plough their own furrow all the way through without any real help from BMW, but Dick Bennett is a master at setting cars up, and I'm sure he'll have got the job done. But one thing to watch out for here, at the back of the grid, Matt Allison, whose car has been repaired but would be starting at the back, we've heard reports he might pull into the pit lane and start from the pit lane and hopefully avoid any first corner carnage.
Right, that'll be interesting. And I wonder if he does that, whether they would bother to change tyres. Probably not, because it is still just a little bit of rain in the air. It doesn't look as though it's going to dry out, but we'll have to wait and see. One of the other issues to watch out for, shouldn't be so bad as sometimes, but misting of the windscreen can be a problem in these conditions.
It can. The cars actually have electric heated windscreens, so theoretically, as long as that's working, it should be fine. And it is a requirement. There goes Matt Allison peeling off into the pit lane, but it is a requirement that the screens are clear. And of course, if the heated element stops working, that's it. They're in trouble. Right, Matt Allison pulls in the pit lane. He'll wait for the to go after the others have gone.
Yeah. So windscreen wipers on some of the cars, not on the two front row cars, interestingly, of Gordon Shedden and Fabrizio Giovanardi. It's the Scot who's looking for 2 wins out of 2 here today. Matt Allison has made his way into the pit lane, and he will be starting from the end of the pit lane after everybody has gone past the pit exit. Green flag from the back of the grid, red lights come on, and it's the second race of the day at Oulton Park underway. And who's going to get off the line? The BMW quick again, but Giovanardi trying to fend him off, he can't. And Matt Jackson in the white BMW as well. He's going to move up into second place here. He might even take the lead. Oh, he got Spinner off, that's Pickney. Oh, and Jason Hughes climbs the tyres, and oh dear, the camera gets hit as well. Turkington takes the lead of the race. Second place for Fabrizio Giovanardi. Third position for Matt Jackson. And then we've got the first of the team Halford's cars. Off goes Onslow Cole in the Team RAC car, the second of the BMWs. It's happening everywhere, Tim.
It is. I think that call by Matt Allison to start from the pit lane was undoubtedly the right one. I'm sure there'll be a safety car out at the end of this lap, but the BMWs made a lightning getaway, didn't they?
Very fast, although Matt Jackson then lost it. He seemed to go wheel to wheel with Turkington through the first corner, but he's now under pressure for third place, because right behind him there is the car of Matt Neal. Matt Neal trying to get down the inside. Look at the battle for third. Here he is, and Matt Neal's taken third place. That was a good move. He's got past Matt Jackson. So Matt Neal, the reigning champion, is up into third place.
Yeah, that was an aggressive pass on the brakes. Matt just getting the car stopped in the Knickerbrook chicane. Gareth Howell in the blue and black motor-based car coming up behind. He's made a good start and avoided all the accidents.
Yeah, he has done well. Remember, he started in 10th place on the grid after coming from the back in race 1. So Gareth Howell just coming into shot. Blue and orange and black there. He's well up the order, as you say, but it's Colin Turkington who leads at the moment, starting from the second row of the grid. We are going to see the safety car coming out, so they will race to the line. Look at Jordan there. Mike Jordan, the man carrying the radio. He's getting past Jason Plato. He's down the inside, and he's made the move stick into Lodge just before they'll see the safety car on circuit.
Yeah, although Plato will know the safety car is out, so he can't retaliate now. But now they all slow down, and this may take a little while to clear. There's a scene of total destruction. Look at the back of Pinkney's car. That's completely staved in. Jason Hughes' car, and I think it's Simon Blankley's car further up, and there's Urquhart's car as well. That was the car that tried to take out our cameraman.
Yeah, our cameraman is okay, I'm glad to say. We were a bit concerned for a moment there when suddenly lost pictures, but as you can see, he's still there. He's giving us excellent pictures, and we've just heard that Chilton's gone into the pit. So Tom Chilton obviously got into trouble. He's just outside our window.
Yeah, he's putting wets on though. I can see that he's putting wets on though, so they're looking for damage or a problem. Let's have a look at the start again. That's not a change of tyres though for Chilton. Let's have a look at the start again. Now, initially you see that the RAC car, that's Turkington in the middle, he gets a great drive, little bit of wheel spin, goes straight past Shedden. Jackson goes round the outside. I thought he'd gone the wrong way, but he gets past Giovanardi, and he's looking at it. Now look at the back. Jason Hughes has already gone. He collects Pickney. Pickney goes to the wall. Urquhart's coming for our cameraman. Our cameraman's not a lover of Turkish delight, certainly not now, but a disastrous start there.
Now this was from Jason Plato's vantage point, I think. He was right behind Tom Chilton. Let's see what happens. Yeah, he just touches the back of Chilton. That shouldn't have been too much problem. It was all happening just behind them, really, wasn't it? That was through the first corner, so the first group were okay.
Yeah, the first group was okay. The only loser was Onslow Cole, who went off.
So this is another on-board view. This was with Mike Jordan, so he didn't make a particularly good getaway. He was passed by Onslow Cole.
Yeah, we may see what happens to Onslow Cole here, though, because he goes off on the run down through Denton's into Cascades. Mike Jordan holds it on the track, doesn't run out wide. Let's see what happens in front here with Onslow Cole to the right-hand side. Jordan goes to the left. No sign of... Oh, Onslow Cole goes down the outside and just runs out of grip. It's very slippery on the outside. He just couldn't get the car turned in.
Yeah, this is the view of that. Look on the...
Onslow Cole on the outside, trying to make up grip, just can't get the car turned in.
thankfully there's a bit more runoff there, so he was through the gravel across the grass.
Yeah, he's still got to turn around and get back on the road. He can't rejoin round there.
No, that's right. So here we are, we've got a bit more action. This is further on, this is down at the hairpin now. So this is, looks like from Jason's point of view, he taps the back of Shedden. That's interesting. Now Shedden and Chilton got together.
Yeah. Now that's where Chilton may have incurred the damage to his car that necessitated the pit stop to have a look. But this is going to be a long stop because not only is there are 4 cars there to recover, there's also a lot of damage. Shedden's off.
Yeah, he was already off.
Yeah, sorry, I missed that. But he's obviously off as a result of that contact. The Super 2000 cars a little bit weaker, aren't they, at the on the suspension, and he's pulled off. There's a lot of gloomy drivers walking out the pit lane. There's Urquhart. Well, don't know. We didn't see quite how he got involved in that. All 4 cars going off together. Both of the Alphas now out because Richard Marsh didn't start the race and Pinkney's out. That's Urquhart's car.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, there's a lot of damage to some of those cars. Front end of that car damaged. We said it was a bit quiet in the first race, Tim. They certainly made up for it at the start of the second one.
Yeah, but wasn't that a good decision by the Motorbase people to start Matt Allison at the out of the pit lane, because he's actually lying 12th.
That's
now.
amazing.
You know, having started from the pit lane,
He's
a really
12th.
sensible choice.
He's only 2 places outside the points. That is remarkable.
Well,
but Simon Blankley, you mentioned Simon. He was one of those involved, but sort of earlier on, wasn't he? His car is actually stopped on the pretty much still on the way into Old Hall.
Yeah.
He's explaining it to Graham Hathaway and the crew. There's Jason Hughes. That's such a shame. Local lad, of course. Jason Hughes runs his Kart World concern. It's only about 40 miles away from this Oulton Park track. He was hopeful of a good result on effectively home turf, and it's all gone wrong for him as well. There is the lead group behind the safety car. It's Colin Turkington for Team RAC, then it's the Vauxhall of Fabrizio Giovanardi, then Team Halford's lead car, well, the only car for Team Halford's in the race now, of course, that is Matt Neal, Matt Jackson and Mike Jordan in 5th, Plato in 6th place ahead of Hal Stockton. Chris Stockton is as one of the ones who survived, and actually Chris has done really well, another local lad. He's up to 8th place. And there you can see a lot of analysis going on.
A lot of expensive damage there. Those Alphas don't come cheap, believe me, and it's a good job David's got a nice big fat wad in his pocket. Well, Shedden, a very short second race. A lot of glory in the first race, short-lived in the second.
Well, we don't quite know what happened. We saw the contact between himself and Chilton, and it does look as though it was around that area where that happened that he's ended up in the tyres, and then Chilton came into the pits and he'd had a shredded tyre, I think was his problem, so that's why they changed all 4 wheels. He's gone back out once again, but of course he's at the back of the field. He's in 18th position. They're trying to get that car of Shedden's moved out of the way, but look at that whole right front suspension corner is off. Let's get down to the pit lane and get some reaction.
Now then, Dave, you were in the middle of that enormous shunt that we've just had. Tell us a bit more about it.
Well, I got a blinding start from the back of the grid, and a lot of the lads were just spinning wheels everywhere. And I must have passed about 10 cars who were coming up to the start-finish straight. And I went past Simon Blanchley, probably 20 mile an hour faster than he was going. And he obviously, although he'd had a bad start, he obviously wasn't watching his mirrors. And he just had no idea I was there. And as I went past him, as I say, 20 mile an hour faster, he just turned left into me. And that caused the whole lot.
And it's a right old mess. We can see it down there from here, but the trouble here is when the grass is that way, you accelerate when you hit the grass, don't you?
It was a big shunt, yeah. I mean, you felt it as you went into the barriers, and, you know, luckily we all got out unhurt. But, you know, people should, if they got a bad start, you should check your mirrors, because people are coming up behind you, and, you know, just turning left for no reason is ridiculous.
And what about the car? Anything left? You're going to be out for race 3?
No way, no, it's had it again. No luck. We just got the thing on the pace a bit, and okay, you know, in the first race we got tapped off. That was unfortunate, but there's no way it's going to be out for the next race now.
Sorry to hear it, Dave. Thanks very much for talking to us.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, from a miserable pit lane down here, back up to Ben and Tim.
Thanks very much, Warren. Yeah, that's the damage on the front of that Alfa. It's actually ripped the tyre from the rim there. I mean, that is a very forceful impact. And you think that was from a standing start in wet conditions, but it still gives you an idea of the amount of energy involved in the accident.
Yeah, there's a lot of force involved. I mean, you know, it looked from what we saw like it was just bunching on the grid, really. It's a very narrow grid. And sure, Pinkney had a better start and was trying to go down the outside, but it looked like just a crunching up of cars on the grid. But the repercussions were horrendous, obviously.
That's right. Well, one man who got through all that reasonably safely and managed to get past Jason Plato just before they picked up the safety car was this man, Mike Jordan. Now he's running in 5th position. We got the radio with him. Let's see if we can grab a quick word. This is Ben in the commentary box to Mike. Mike, well done. You survived what was a fairly dramatic opening lap, and you managed to get Jason just before the safety car come out.
Yeah, Druids is incredibly slippery. I don't know if the previous races put a little bit of oil down there, but I've been watching it on TV, and a lot of the Formula BMWs have really struggled there more than anywhere else. And radio that said safety car was out, and as Jason went in, he just lost the back enough to get my nose under him, and Antelodge just gave me enough room to pick.
Great, thanks Mike. We're just losing you just a little bit up the hill, but that's good to hear, and we'll leave you to concentrate on the remainder of this race now. So it is Colin Turkington that leads. It looks like it could be a little while here, Tim, because I mean there's...
Yeah, I mean I don't think they've got enough wreckers to move these cars, because we've got one flatbed lorry trying to get Shedden's car on, which I don't think has a wheel on it. We've got 2 other flatbed lorries down here, and there are 4 cars in total to move, so not easy.
Not easy. 4 laps have been completed. Majority of that under safety car. At this rate, they'll be doing most of the race under safety car. Remember, we add up to 3 laps in distance, but they may want to actually then cut a few laps off as well, because it's going to be a long race otherwise. The rest of the field, they're being very well behaved, as they need to be, coming past the area. We're just our commentary box on the approach to the first corner at Old Hall, not this area where they're now dealing with Gordon Shedden's car, as you can see. But look at the amount of tyre wall damage. I mean, that all has to be replaced before they can get the cars up and running and racing again, obviously. And they've still got to recover those cars. Pinckney's car, now that has been picked up and is being towed. At least the back suspension of the car has allowed them to tow it.
Yeah, the worrying thing is if you look at the wooden posts behind the barriers, they've all been pushed back quite heavily, and normally they have to be reseated with a JCB. So I don't know whether we'll go for a quick fix or not, but they're certainly looking a bit precarious, aren't they?
Yes, that's right. Of course, we've had a lot of rain here. This northwest part of the country's been hit by a huge amount of rain the last couple of weeks, and it rained again very hard last night. Let's get back down to the pits with Warren.
Well, Gordon, first race was a blinder. Your smile was out here. It's gone a bit now. 1 lap down, and you're back in the pits. Yeah, it's not good. It's I've been rammed from behind by Plato going into the hairpin, and that's knocked me into the side of Chilton and burst the front left tyre clean off the rim, and then a bit of pinball on the exit of the chicane, the exit of the hairpin has broken the front right suspension, so out the race, no points, and not happy. It's not a good day at the office so far. Very bad day at the office. Do you think it'll be ready for the next race? Because it's very tight time here, isn't it? Yeah, every confidence the guys will get it back out in the third race, but it means I've got to start from the very back of the grid and come through when I've had a car yet again which is capable of being on the podium in that race and not been able to score the points that the car deserved, so disappointed. Do you think people are getting a little bit giddy because it was just carnage off the start there? Yeah, but you can't win the race in the first corner of the first lap of a race. It's wet, we all know it's wet, we're all on wet tyres. The championship's supposed to be full of professional drivers racing at the top line of British motorsport, and it appears that people's errors in judgment are quite severe at the moment. We'll not ask for any names, but thanks for talking to us, Gordon.
Thank you, Warren.
And back over to you, Ben and Tim.
Yeah, thanks, Warren. Thanks very much. We're just seeing David Pinckney's car being sort of towed past us, so they've got that car out of the way. As you can see, Gordon Shedden's car is being recovered. How did you read that incident, Tim? Well,
I mean, just listening to the sound from on board Jason's car, at the very beginning of the braking, it sounded like he locked up, and although he managed to declutch and get it going again, I think that just made him run into the corner a little bit too quick. So although Gordon's every right to feel aggrieved, I'm not sure it was necessarily a deliberate punt, but you can imagine braking in the wet into that hairpin. It's very, very difficult to get it right.
No ABS, of course, on British touring cars. I mean, it's part of the rules, isn't it? You're not allowed to, so if you do brake too hard, you're just going to lock the wheels up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is difficult. That part of the circuit is bumpy. You go over a crest there as you initially hit the brakes, which makes the front wheels go light, and in the wet it's very easy to do it. Of course, the other thing is the drivers have to set their brake balance. In fact, we saw a couple of years ago Jason do exactly that wrong and lock up his fronts and go straight on. But you do need to set the brake balance, and it's a little bit of a guesswork to get it right.
Well, they've got Pinckney's car back, but I mean, look at the amount of damage on it. It really, as David said to us in the interview, I really can't see it very likely
that will not be going anywhere else today.
No, huge amount of damage.
It's leaking all its bodily fluids.
Yeah, chassis damage, that's all going to have to be pulled out, put on a jig. If they're lucky, of course. If they're unlucky, then it will take a new body shell, and as you were saying earlier, that ain't going to be cheap. Erkut's car being pushed away as well. Tech Speed looking after that car. And Paul O'Neill helping Erkut this weekend. Of course, Paul O'Neill, a former winner here at Oulton Park himself back in 2002. And looks as though Warren's going to hopefully be able to catch a word with him in a second. Still,
yeah, that's Ian Watson on the left with the radio, just inspecting the damage. Obviously, he's got to be satisfied that it's safe to go back to racing, but there was a lot of tyres moved there and a lot of barrier damage. Yeah. We're just seeing now coming into the pit lane Jason Hughes' car. That's got very extensive rear end damage as well, and the team would, well, they'd be doing miracles to get that fixed.
Is Fiona still running? I think she is. Yeah, the other Kart World car, she's running 16th at the moment. So at least one of the cars is still out there, but they're not having a great deal of luck this weekend. And there is Jason's car, as we mentioned, just being brought back. There's Jason. You can just see him behind the car there with his overalls half down, and he's going to have a quick look to see what the damage is like. But it's not in luck this time, I'm afraid, Jason. Real shame. The two only MGs still in the British Touring Car Championship. They are bioethanol powered. Of course, MG's had a lot of success over the years with this car and in this championship, but poor Jason's day hasn't certainly gone too well today.
Yeah, it's a great shame, isn't it? The sort of Oulton Park start line curse has struck again, but I think it's a combination of the narrowness of the track, the proximity of the lanes on the grid, and also the conditions. But I think we've got Urquhart down in the pit lane, so let's go back down and hear from him.
We certainly do. Urquhart, you were involved in that enormous pile-up at Turn 1 as well. The shutters are down on your garage. How was it?
I mean, it's very hard to say for me now what happened over there. We were just side by side, and we were just coming to the first corner, and then suddenly everything went crazy, and suddenly somebody hits me. I don't know really who hit me, and lost the control and touched the grass. Especially on this condition, when you touch the grass, you are just a passenger. Whatever you try to do, I mean, there's no way to escape. So I just passed straight to first corner and hit the barriers over there. I don't know, we tried to catch the third race, but I don't know. They're working hard now. That's why they're closing the shutter down.
Well, as we said, the only positive out of it is that it was quite near, so you didn't have too far to walk back.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, in Rockingham, that's why I watched the whole race and couldn't move. But this one, yeah, it's quite pretty close, and we already checked the doctors and everything. So now we are waiting and watching the second race and waiting the third one.
Well, let's hope we see you out there. Urquhart, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Back up to you guys.
Thanks, Warren. Yeah, fairly sanguine Urquhart, isn't he? He's not getting too wound up about it. It's just one of those things, I suppose. But let's hope that they can get that car repaired and see him back out later on. So safety car still obviously leading the rest of the field around. It's Turkington, Giovanardi and Matt Neal that are following behind the safety car.
Yeah, they've actually elected to leave Simon Blankney's car parked where it stopped up against the barriers. That's on the run down to the first corner, and I would have thought that's in a fairly precarious position, to be honest. If I was either Simon or one of the other drivers, I wouldn't be particularly happy about that. But the lights are out on the safety car. We're going back to racing whatever. And, well, the safety car's been going down very slowly. And what little heat the dark guys have been able to maintain in their tyres, if at all, is going to be lost.
Right, so here we go then, getting all set for the restart. They've completed 6 laps. They'll complete 7 laps as they come across the line this time. And as you say, they're taking it fairly steady. The safety car going fairly slowly before heading into the pit lane, and it's going to be Colin Turkington and Fabrizio Giovanardi who will lead this restart away once again, with Matt Neal, the double champion, in there, Matt Jackson as well in his BMW, and Mike Jordan. Jason Plato starting from 6th place, and then remember it's Gareth Howe, Chris Stockton and Darren Turner. Away we go, safety car comes in, we're racing once again at Oulton Park, and Turkington makes an excellent restart there, pulls a couple of car lengths over Giovanardi, and it's Matt Neal who goes on the attack for 2nd place. Oh, Gareth gone off, Gareth Howe, no, Gareth, oh, into the tyre barrier. What a shame, he'd been driving so well up to that point.
Well, that's yet more disaster for the Motorbase team. He'd been having a brilliant race, and they've now got yet another smashed body shell.
You could see that accident. It would happen for so long, wouldn't it? You know, it was coming, he just went in too fast, and once you're on the grass, as we heard from Urquhart, you are simply a passenger, nothing he could do there.
And that's the worst feeling for the driver, because the car almost seems to speed up. It doesn't slow down at all. He's on the brakes, he knows what's going to happen, he can see the accident coming, there's nothing he can do about it. He's just got to sit there, put his head back against the rest and wait for the impact.
Now, safety car is back out on track, but they are racing until they get back to the line, remember, so they're still pushing hard here. And Matt Jackson there, under pressure from Jordan. Jordan almost being put on the grass, squeezed through. He's got Plato right behind him. and he nearly opened the door for Plato to come through. So that was a very close moment. They're still racing. It is a safety car period, but they will race all the way to the line, as we saw when the safety car came out earlier. Turkington, Giovanardi and Matt Neal, your top three. Then Jackson and Jordan with Plato following. Pretty close, but you know, they are going to race to the line, aren't they?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, just look in the background of your screen though, all the Chris Stockton fans, the Lexus fans, he's got in front of Turner, and there he is, the black car defending to the inside.
Jordan went through then as well. Jordan took fourth from Matt Jackson as they came through Lodge Corner. So as they come across the line and pick up the safety car boards, it will be a change of places. Turkington who leads, Giovanardi second, Matt Neal third, Jordan has taken fourth there from Jackson, Plato, and then, as you say, Chris Stockton, the local man, going extremely well. You know, he's a former champion of Oulton Park in Formula Ford, so he knows this track pretty well, and he probably knows these conditions pretty well.
Yeah, well, he lives just down the road in Malpass. He's married to Great Britain 3-day event of Polly Stockton, so he's certainly got something to live up to. A pretty sporty family.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, he's just come back from Germany from watching one of her events. There is Gareth's car, I'm afraid, Gareth Howell's car, and poor Motorbase, and my goodness, how much repair work have they got to do? Talk us through it.
Here we go on the restart. Don't look at the front, look to the back of your picture. The blue car coming down the outside is carrying too much speed, he can't stop it. Away on the grass, and then all he can do is just hope the car turns a little bit. It does at least turn, and he goes in sideways rather than forwards, but there's still going to be a lot of damage.
Now this is a replay of Jordan getting past Jackson. Look, the John Guest car just tucked into the inside as they headed down under braking into Lodge. Jackson didn't really fight it, and it was a fairly straightforward manoeuvre. This is from the onboard view, actually looking back from Jordan's car. So he's gone through here, and there's Jackson's car, he's just passed it. So that was a very neat and tidy manoeuvre down the inside, and that car's working very well in these conditions, isn't it? That's the Honda Integra, remember, the car that has won the British Touring Car Championship for the last 2 years, and Mike Jordan now runs it as a very much an independent, a privateer, and he's up into fourth. He's had a couple of podium finishes already this year, and he's in a position to perhaps challenge for a podium again here. Just coming through a shot ahead of Jackson, Plato. From Plato's point of view, Tim, he's still finding himself, 4 places behind his big championship rival Giovanardi, so it's still not coming to him here at Oulton Park.
It's not, and the laps are ticking down, aren't they, in this race again? I mean, I'm not sure how long this stop will be. Hopefully Howell's car will be a straight pull away, and there's no wheels hanging off the thing, so hopefully they'll get it out of the way quickly, but the laps are running down, and Plato hasn't shown in even the sort of initial dry lap, or the initial running under green flag conditions, that he's got particularly any great pace in that Seat.
No, it didn't look as though he was suddenly trying to get through to the front. His teammate Darren Turner still running in 8th place, by the way. Just saw the diesel BMW coming through. Good to see that back this weekend. It's at the back of that queue there, the white and yellow car. That is Rick Kerry from Ipswich, the MD of the Accident Repair Centre there. I should think he probably could do with a contract on accident repairs from this meeting at Oulton Park, to be honest. Maybe he should go and talk to Motorbase about doing some work for them, because they've been a bit busy.
Well, Motorbase do run a body shop, but I think they're flat out fixing their race cars, and they need to be working to earn some money to pay for them. But I mean, there is a chance. I mean, because the car went in sideways, there's a chance that the suspension pickup points may not be too badly damaged. And although it looks horrendous cosmetically, we've seen already from the accident at Thruxton that they had with Matt Allison's car. That team can do wonders in repairing cars, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that car out in some shape or fashion in the last race.
No, I wouldn't be surprised either. We'll see if we can get another word with Mike Jordan, who's now running in 4th position. I mean, now, let's just remind you, he got past Plato just before the first safety car period, and now this second safety car period, he managed to just nip past Matt Jackson as they went into Lodge Corner. So he's now the 4th car after the safety car, and he got through very well. Let's have a quick word with him once again. This is Ben in the commentary box to Mike. Mike, you did it again, just as the safety car came out. You managed to make the move on Matt Jackson.
Yeah, I tried. I think he was a little bit tentative on the brakes into Nickelbrook, and I tried to sort of get him there, but he defended it well. But I got a really good run through Druids again, and just could do him on the brakes. So I just want to get on with this race. I think we can make our way to the front.
Just tell us, what are the conditions like now? Is it drying up at all?
It is, but it is still really greasy. I mean, the team have just come on the radio and said, what should Andy do in the Clio race that's coming up next? And I said at the minute, because you know what it's like, Ben, when it goes really slimy, it's just like that, but it won't be long before it will be ready for slick fronts.
Okay, well, we'll leave you to it. The lights are off on the safety car, so it looks as though we're going all racing once again. The race distance, by the way, is going to remain at 15 laps, so that gives them 6 laps or 5 laps after they cross the line this time. We're all set to go racing once more. Watch for Chris Stockton in the black car, the black Lexus there. He's got a good chance of scoring some points here today, and that would certainly support his local fans here at Oulton Park. Safety car back in, and for the second time in this second race of the day, the race is restarted by Colin Turkington leading from Fabrizio Giovanardi in second. A little closer this time on the run to Old Hall corner, and Matt Neal trying to go around the outside of both of them as they go through this tricky right-hander, and Jordan there under pressure from Matt Jackson as well behind them. Down the hill they come then. It's very, very tight between these lead cars, but it's the Team RAC BMW of Turkington from Giovanardi in the Vauxhall Vectra. Then it's Matt Neal in the Team Halfords Honda, the new Civic, and he's chased by Mike Jordan in the older Honda Integra, which is running extremely well in these conditions.
Yeah, not so much standing water now. We're into the sort of very greasy start. Sometimes the track can be slower when it's like this than when it's full wet, but we saw in the background, was that Darren Turner coming?
No, I think it was Plato. Yeah, Plato got alongside Jackson, but I'm not sure he managed to complete the manoeuvre. No, he didn't. Look, as they come up over the rise, it's still Jackson in the BMW hounding Mike Jordan, but right behind him is Jason Plato. There's Turner. You mentioned Turner. Well, he's got past Stockton in the background. Yeah, he's got through there, so Darren Turner has taken 7th place from Chris Stockton. Adam Jones is trying to get through. Matt Allison behind there, he was having a bit of a squeeze as well with, who was that, Tom Chilton?
Yeah, not the person that he probably wants to be rucking with, I wouldn't have thought at the moment. Motorbase down to one car, they're probably telling him to let Chilton through. The last thing he needs is to get involved with him. But yeah, Darren Turner with that bashed up Seat. Remember, he went across the Knickerbrook chicane the first time of asking. He's now managed to get back past Stockton, and he can act as rear gunner for his teammate.
On board Jason Plato, he's tucked in behind Matt Jackson, but the leading quartet are just ahead. They're coming through Lodge Corner. Wonderful bend this, it pitches downhill, then back up through Dearly, and Plato with the windscreen wipers running, but as you can see, the spray are not as bad as sometimes in wet races. So conditions not too bad from a visibility point of view, but still very slippery. And look again at Mike Jordan, he's hounding Matt Neal, and he looks potentially quicker. You know, this is a tricky situation for him. He'd love to take that podium spot. Bit of bodywork being flicked up there as well as they came down towards Cascades.
Yeah, that's the Jordan car, the ex-Dynamics Integra, always was a very quick car in the wet. The new Civic car that's in front of him, of course, not really had any running in the wet at all, so gambled settings. And look at Matt Jackson round the outside. Will he stop the car?
Oh, he's lost the place. He's lost the play. Plato's through.
Yeah, very greasy on the outside. He's now look at Jordan on the inside. He's got an overlap. He's on the inside down to Knickerbrook. This should work.
Yeah, so Mike Jordan on the inside. He's now got to complete it by braking a little later, and he's through. If he can turn in, he can. He's up into 3rd place. Matt Neal is now in 4th, and Jason Plato is in 5th place. So these two great rivals, Matt Neal and Jason Plato, there is no love lost between those two. Remember the last few years of confrontation between them, and they're now right together on track. Mike Jordan will be quite relieved, I think, to have got himself ahead of Jason Plato, and perhaps then leave them to it.
Yeah, well, it just shows there's life in the old dog. This is the section. Look at the lines on the track as the cars cut through the greasy wetness as they come over that crest. Really slippery on this part of the track.
So up towards Lodge Corner. There is Mike Jordan still running in 3rd. Let's just take a look at Jason Plato's view as Matt Jackson decided to go for the move down the outside, but really braked too late.
He just braked too late. It always looked like he was carrying too much speed. He just gets on the grass, and that loses him the places.
So Matt Jackson lost a couple of places. He's still there. He's in 6th position. Then that was how Mike Jordan was able to get alongside, and then once he was there, it was pretty much his corner.
Yeah, watch the brake lights come on in exactly the same place, but Jordan has the inside, and he slots through with no aggression from Matt Neal.
Now it's all getting pretty tight further back. That's the race leader. It is Colin Turkington, the man who started on pole for the first race. He's now leading the second race, but here is the battle for 4th place between Matt Neal and Jason Plato. Plato, he's going to go the deep line in. He's trying to look for a good exit out of the corner, and this is where he needs to get the run going. But he knows that the aerodynamics of the Seat don't always count in his favour in a straight line, but then again, it's much the same story for the Team Halfords Honda as well.
Yeah, it's all about mechanical grip. How much grip can they get through those good Dunlop wet tyres, both for braking and for acceleration, because an extra bit of grip coming out of the corner in these greasy conditions will certainly have a beneficial effect over and above the negative effects of the aerodynamics. So Plato not struggling with that at the moment.
So it's just about 2.5 laps still to go here. Mike Jordan in a solid 3rd place at the moment. He currently leads the independent points, by the way, although he does have to battle with the Team RAC cars on that, and Turkington is leading this race and therefore leading in the independent category as well. But Jordan should maintain his points advantage. There's Matt Jackson, still running well. He might have had to lose a place to Plato after he ran wide at the hairpin, but he's not lost any more, which is the key thing. Behind him is Darren Turner in the 2nd of the Seats, and then it's Adam Jones running in 8th. Matt Allison is in 9th, and Tom Onslow Cole, if you remember, he went off right in the early stages of this race down at Cascades. He's actually just taken 9th as he's come over the... Oh no, he just lost it again. Oh yes, he is. He's got past Allison, so Onslow Cole up to 9th place. Good progress from him.
Yeah, I tell you what, I bet Mike Jordan wishes this race would go on a bit longer, because he set the fastest lap of the race on that very last lap.
Now let's just see what's been going on here. This is Chris Stockton going down. Now Chris Stockton must have made a mistake somewhere, because he's gone all the way down to 13th, and he was well in the points earlier on, if you remember. So that's a disappointment. He got back past Martin Bell in that move.
Yeah, he's obviously recovering from something we saw off camera.
Race leader Colin Turkington, Fabrizio Giovanardi. You know, Giovanardi is attacking here. Remember, this is the first time the Vauxhall Vectra has ever been run on wet tyres, and yet it's pushing the BMW here of Colin Turkington pretty hard. The gap has opened up a bit to Mike Jordan in 3rd. There you can see the BMW sliding. Is that a bit of evidence of tyres giving up?
Well, I don't think the tyres particularly would have gone off in this. I mean, although the track is drying, it's still very greasy in places, and they haven't run a lot of laps under full speed. So I think the tyres should all be fairly equal without a great deal of wear. It's just a case of Giovanardi getting a feel for his car and using his undoubted talent to drag more out of it.
Well, it's an impressive run from the Italian at the moment, but it's Colin Turkington who currently leads this race, and they'll be going on to their final lap when they come across the line. Past our camera position through Deer Leap. Look at him looking for the wet stuff there. Giovanardi very much looking for the wet side of the track to keep his tyres a little bit cooler. He may challenge on this final lap. Turkington goes on to the final lap leading. Remember, Turkington grabbed a win from Giovanardi last year at Donington Park, and I think Giovanardi might think this is time to take revenge for that one.
Yeah, who can forget the first time that he passed Giovanardi when Giovanardi was looking like winning his first and Vauxhall's 100th race, and he really got well and truly mugged by Turkington at the last chicane at Donington. So could it be a case of getting his own back?
Well, let's see. At the moment they're coming into the hairpin. He's not close enough there, but look how close he is as they turn into the corner, and they're on the apex. Oh, it's tight between them now, and this is going to be a real tussle all the way to the checkered flag. Less than a lap to do here at Oulton Park in the 2nd race of the day. Giovanardi's going to try and take the inside line coming down to Knickerbrook. He has to move back to the outside. That puts Turkington on the more slippery side, but he turns in ahead, stays in front. Now there's another critical phase coming up the hill.
Got to get a good exit from this corner. Turkington makes sure he doesn't run out onto those curbs that will destroy his traction. The Vauxhall's very strong. It's all going to be about who gets through Druids cleanly and on the run up to lodge the final corner. This here not an overtaking place, but the speed through it determines whether you can get a run into the last corner.
Turkington looks pretty good through there, but Giovanardi's fast as well behind him. Now there's the one corner to go. Turkington already moving to the middle of the road to protect his position. Giovanardi's got the drier outside line. He's going to try and drive around the outside. That's brave, but Turkington covers it. Oh, this is quality racing from two top touring car drivers. They're going to be almost side by side, but it's going to be Colin Turkington, who just, I think, yes, he takes it by 0.046 of a second. Mike Jordan takes 3rd, Matt Neal is 4th, and Jason Plato is 5th.
0.04 of a second difference between them. That is fantastic. Great racing, really good result. Mike Jordan not even a second behind. Onslow Cole creeping over the line,
and he's lost several places as a result of that, Tim. He was up well inside the top 10. He's dropped to 13th. What a result for Colin Turkington, and for Team RAC. They didn't manage to have the win in the first race despite starting from pole, but the first wet race of 2007 goes to Turkington. Look how close it was.
You can't get any closer than that. That was fantastic. Right to the last corner, Giovanardi was trying. He tried to get an overlap coming out of Lodge and over Deer Leap, and very nearly did it. Certainly, he looked over after his tyres very well, and, well, good result for Turkington. His 2nd win, he's absolutely made up.
That's brilliant, and yeah, that was well deserved, and he fought off one of the toughest competitors there. Now Mike Jordan has finished in 3rd place. Let's see if we can get a quick word with him. Ben to Mike. Well done, Mike. A brilliant race. You're on the podium again, mate. That's the 3rd time this year.
No, that was really good. I mean, I made a couple of mistakes when I was just catching them with about 2 or 3 laps to go, and just locked up, and I was a bit worried, nearly put it off at Lodge, and I thought, let's just tap it back a couple of tenths. Didn't want to go and throw it off and look a bit of a blocker, but no, the car was great, really good.
Many congratulations. And there he is, Mike waving. He's got a big group of Pertec guests that he's just driven past up the hill there, so that'll be, I'm sure, giving him a tremendous reception. And that was a hard-fought third place. Matt Neal in fourth, and Matt managed to fend off Jason Plato there, Tim. I thought we might get a bit of a tussle there, but actually it sort of settled down, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. They were all doing about the same lap times, and without a mistake, it was probably hard to pass. But Mike Jordan, great third place and fastest lap.
Yeah, good point. There gets the extra point for that as well, doesn't he? So, yeah, a good fastest lap there. Matt Jackson, he'll be a little disappointed, but of course, remember, Matt still a rookie, so still got things to learn. Colin Turkington then wins the second race of the day here at Oulton Park from Giovanardi and Mike Jordan, who takes third. Matt Neal in fourth place, just ahead of Jason Plato. Matt Jackson dropped back a little bit, but still useful points in sixth, ahead of Darren Turner, Adam Jones. Tom Chilton was ninth, and Matt Allison finished 10th. So everybody making their way back into the pits. Rick Kerry coming in as well. And we'll be right back after the break with reaction from the drivers. Welcome back to Oulton Park, and the celebrations this time belong to Colin Turkington, to Team RAC. Gordon Shedden had the win earlier on today, but this time it's Turkington's turn to take the maximum points, and it was a hard-fought victory. And let's just see what it does to the points. Giovanardi came into this meeting 2 points behind Plato, but he's now got a 12-point advantage. Matt Neal still in third place, Turkington in fourth position ahead of Chilton, and Gordon Shedden, of course, really out of luck in that race. He stays down in seventh. He was one of the early retirements. So that's what it's done to the points. Let's get down and hear from the drivers. They're with Warren.
Well, here we are down with Colin Turkington. Colin, looks like the lovely Roxanne McKee was quite a lucky charm for you.
Yeah, you're right, and I hope she'll be coming to the rest of them as well. But yeah, it was a fantastic race. You know, this is the first time we've had the RAC BMW in the wet, and you know, we weren't quite sure how it was going to go, but you know, I just sort of tried to keep looking in front, not too much in the mirrors, and keep it steady. And you know, it was a very difficult race, you know, running about there behind the safety car, just, you know, trying to keep my concentration. But you know, the lads at Team RAC done an absolutely fantastic job. You know, we had quite a bit of work to do to change the car between the races, so it's great to get another win. Absolutely fantastic.
Good to see you smiling. Now, just quickly, you mentioned looking in your mirrors. At the end, you have had a very big voxel in your mirrors. How did that feel?
Yeah, it was. I was under a lot of pressure, you know, and Fabrizio was closing and closing, and I was wanting an easy end to that race, but yeah, I think it was 0.004 of a second I won by, so just enough, you know.
A win's a win. Well done. Now, the man who came in second place here, Fabrizio, there was me thinking that you were taking it easy, conserving your car, just take the safe points, and then at the end, you put your foot on the gas.
Yeah, in the end, my car was faster than Colin, but I said don't make any stupid thing because it's not time to do it. We tried just in the last corner to overtake him. I was just close to pass him, but anyway, it's really okay because my car every time is good.
But at the end, Colin's car got very, very wide.
Yeah, it was, but anyway, he has done no mistake, so it's good if he won.
Good racing. Thanks very much, Fabrizio. And third place, we talked to him in the car, we talked to him now. First podium of the year, Mike.
No, I've had a couple more before this, so it's just first podium of the day. Let's start again.
First podium of the day, Mike. Brilliant effort.
It was great. No, I love driving the car when it's like that because it just got really greasy and slimy. It's just like a big slide every lap. It was great.
It looked like you had the legs, though, especially when you took Matt Neal.
Yeah, I mean, I could see off the restart, Matt got quite a lot of understeer in his car, and I just managed to get underneath him at the hairpin and thought if I could get past him quickly and set off after these two. And they were getting all feisty on the last lap, and I thought, oh, this could just drop in my lap, but not to be, but happy with third.
Mike, well done. Thank you. Right, we'll be back with the Clio Cup after the break.